relationships between the Philippines and the United States of America. How do we stand? Are we on good terms or are things strained? Well, just recently I had the privilege to meet the ambassador of the United States to the Philippines and share some time speaking with her and some other Americans. And that's what we're going to discuss in this upcoming video. Alrighty, kids, like I said in the introduction, Bud and I had the opportunity to not only meet, but spend an hour or so having lunch with MaryKay Carlson, who is the United States ambassador to the Philippines. And I just wanted to kind of give you a little oversight as to what took place during that time, the questions that we asked, and how it all began. And Bud, how did you like the little interaction that we had for an hour and a half?
It was fun. I knew it was going to be. You know, I just had a feeling that it was going to be a hoot.
Yeah.
But it kind of, I've never really met anyone of that standard, societal standard. An ambassador, you know, that's up there pretty good.
Me either.
And I was a little bit self-conscious about how to address her.
Yes.
But Wikipedia told me, Madam Ambassador.
Madam Ambassador, yeah.
Or Ambassador Carlson.
Right. I had that all memorized. Yeah. And then when she stood up to meet me, she said, "Hi, I'm MaryKay." I said, "Oh, hi, Mary." Instead of saying, "Hi, Mary, Madam Ambassador."
Yeah.
So I was already off on the wrong foot.
I didn't get a chance either.
But what was cool was the embassy, if you didn't know, if you haven't watched my channel very long, or if it's been a while since you have, for the last couple of years, I have been a volunteer for the United States Embassy to help fellow expats should they find themselves in some kind of a jam where they may need assistance. It could be death, it could be hospitalization, it could be social security issues, could just be they're broke and they need to get repatriated back to their country, back to America. And so we try to get involved simply by collecting as much information as we can, forwarding that to the embassy, and then they kind of take the ball from there and run with it. And so I was pleasantly surprised when less than a week ago I received an email from the embassy saying that the ambassador was going to be in Dumaguete. Wow. And that I was allowed to invite an American friend to come along as a companion. So I went through my phone book. I went through about 16, 17 different guys.
Nobody was home.
And nobody wanted to go, or they were busy. And I didn't know what to do. So finally I flipped to the last page and I saw Bud's name. And I said, okay, I'll invite him. So
Well, actually, I was pretty busy that day, but you know, for you, I cleared my schedule.
Thank God.
You know, I had to take a bath that day, but you know.
And I think what the biggest takeaway that both of us got, I won't speak for you, but just from us, you know, talking about the experience afterwards, was really just how informal it was and how casual it was and how down to earth everybody was. And what a perfect host that she was, the ambassador and her staff. I don't think people could have been more cordial or more polite. Little sidebar, my wife wanted to go. And because she said it was always been her dream to meet somebody important from the United States. And so
besides us.
Yeah. I said important, not impotent. So she said, "Can I go?" And I said, "Well, you can go, but I can't make any promises. I don't know how secure this thing is going to be." Because as you can attest, there were police, there were military escorts, there's, you know, they have a, what would you call it, an entourage of vehicles to protect her. And so
her staff too, I imagine.
And her staff, of course. And so I brought May, and I said, you know, nothing ventured, nothing gained. If they won't let you in, you're just going to have to go hang out somewhere. I'll take you back to a restaurant and I'll come back. But guess what? They said, sure, come on in. But they didn't say come into the restaurant. So she sat outside. I went inside. I kind of said my hellos, met the ambassador, said hi to some of the other gentlemen that do the same volunteer work that I do. There's 3 or 4 guys that were there that also are volunteers, and they have been doing it for years also.
And they brought a guest.
And they brought a guest.
Yeah.
And so I asked Madam Ambassador, I said, you know, my wife would love to have a picture with you. Would that be okay? And she said, absolutely. Where is she? So we went outside, and they got up and did the selfie thing, as all Filipinos do. And we managed to get a couple, 3 pictures in. And then we went back inside. About 15, 20 minutes later, as we were getting our food and everybody was having a conversation and talking, she said, is your wife still sitting outside, Paul? I said, yeah. She goes, well, for crying out loud, bring her in. And
There happened to be a space,
there
right
was
next to me.
an empty chair right next to Bud.
Yeah.
And so I went in, I got her, and she sat down, and they plopped a big chicken right in front of her.
Yeah.
And so she was over the moon for about 2 days.
Yeah.
And what the primary thing was what I took away from this whole experience was I had the opportunity to ask one question, because a lot of guys firing off a lot of questions, and we had a limited amount of time.
A lot of guys.
So my question to her was, how do you feel the current situation or relationship, thank you, between America and the Philippines is today?
Yeah.
And what do you foresee that relationship moving into the future? And I'm happy to tell you that she was very, very positive on both counts. Right now, America and the Philippines have a very good relationship with one another. There's strategic military things that are going on where they both benefit. They've got economic, what's the word, Bud?
Agreements.
And that they've been working on.
Yeah.
A lot of Filipinos work and live in America.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of them are creating their own little towns. In Las Vegas, Tagalog has replaced Spanish as the second spoken language in Nevada.
Wow.
And there's 220,000 Filipinos living in Nevada, Las Vegas, Nevada. And they actually have Filipino town there now. And so, California, of course, the secondary language is Spanish.
Yeah.
And that was Spanish in Nevada forever and a day until I think this last year. And now Tagalog is the actual most spoken second language in Nevada. So we bantered back and forth about that. And so she feels that that the detente that they have with America and the Philippines has a 50-year history at least, and that there's a lot that binds the two of us together. And so for the sake of that, I got my question answered. I feel very secure in the relationship between the two countries. We're going to hit some speed bumps along the way. I also took away, but nothing that can't be unsurmounted. And so what she was talking about that I thought was so cool, and I know that she was so good at it being a diplomat, was she was talking not necessarily about the Philippines, but she had been stationed in Argentina, she had been stationed in China, she had been stationed in the Philippines, and where else? She was Argentina, China, India. And so
India.
all those places, what she said was her favorite place and her last place, because she retires this summer, is, guess what? The Philippines.
I think she meant it too.
She wasn't saying it just to appease us. She said the people, number one, impressed her the most from all the other countries that she's at a duty station in. And the language made it much simpler for her. And she kind of got into a little bit of how she did 2 tours in China and how uncomfortable that could get at times. with surveillance and
Very
people
controlled,
following you around. Yeah.
yeah.
You can go here, but you can't go there.
Yeah.
And if you go anywhere, somebody has to accompany you.
Yeah.
Where here, it's just freewheeling.
Yeah.
And kind of happy-go-lucky. And she says if she had to describe it, her tenure as an ambassador and finishing it here, the Philippines was the cherry on top.
Yeah. Yeah.
What did you take away from it,
Well,
bud?
and also just adding on to that, she said she would feel sorry for anyone who starts their foreign service career in the Philippines. Because there's nowhere to go, but she felt that the Philippines was the best experience that she's had.
Absolutely.
And so she's glad to finish up here. Yeah, she said she was retiring this summer.
Uh-huh.
So it's kind of like, hey, who cares? I'm going to have a good time. I'm getting ready to retire.
Yep.
You know.
And her husband of 36 years was with us.
Yeah, Aubrey.
And again, he was just a super nice
Yeah.
man, very approachable. Her staff were all very accommodating. I sat with her assistant next to her, and while the ambassador was fielding all these questions from all these people, I spent some time chatting her up, and she was giving me some background about her time at the State Department and how things are working, and very, very interesting. And what struck me the most was how hyper intelligent she was. She could rattle off names, numbers, statistics. You could throw any kind of condition at her, and she had an answer for it.
Yeah.
And she had an opinion, and she just knew how to dissect the conversation down to where dummies like you and me could actually understand it.
Dumb it down for us. Just for example, say you're explaining it to a 5-year-old, right?
Right.
You know, just for example.
Right.
And that way I can relate it to my 5-year-old granddaughter.
Sure. Yeah,
Not for
she
me.
took complicated things such as the relations that they have. I don't know that I mentioned it, that she was able to sometimes, not necessarily just between the Philippines, but her job would be if two sides are negotiating, pick a country, and with America, sometimes this room gets a little hot, or this person starts to get heated up, and the conversation starts to escalate, and it's getting negative. Well, it's her job as a diplomat to go into that room and try to bring the temperature down so that they can cool off, see things on a little more level playing field, go into the next room, talk to the other person, bring their temperature down, and then bring them back together so that something can be done.
Yeah.
And I can see her being very, very effective
congenial.
at that.
Yeah, she was.
So I guess the end of the video is here.
And you're going to put up some photos of, that group photo we had.
Yeah, we have a group photo, and then I've got a photo with myself.
Yeah.
And then I think on my wife's channel, she's got some footage. So on Today with Baby May, we're going to be doing her spin on what it was like to meet the ambassador.
Yeah.
And I just finished a video with Bud
Yeah.
that he's going to release the same time I'm going to release this tonight.
Yeah.
And his spin on it. And this is my spin on it.
But I want to point out that in that group photo, the little prequel to that, I was standing next to the ambassador. Suddenly, I felt something someone push me apart.
Yes.
Next thing I know, here's Paul. He scooted right in there between me and the ambassador.
Yeah.
And so I thought, hey, well, what can I say? That's the old dog.
Right, that's me. I have no shame.
So make a point of that when you see that group photo.
I'm the one that got the email.
You did, yeah. I'm trying to think of something that I did, but I can't think of it.
So anyway, kids, things are good between America and the Philippines. They've got each other's back as far as we can tell. And again, I just want to thank, if she manages to see this or anybody at the embassy does, how grateful we were to be included in this. What an honor it was to meet someone like that. It's a once-in-a-lifetime thing.
It is.
It really is for me.
Yeah.
Because you're never going to invite us back.
No, not the way you acted.
All right, we'll leave it at that. We'll see you
right.
crazy people in the next video.
Bye-bye.
Bye. But before we go, I have to do a commercial. Today with Baby May, I'm going to put a link to the video whenever it becomes available in this video. May is going to talk about her experience with meeting with the ambassador of the United States to the Philippines.
Yes.
And real quick, how did it feel for you to meet someone so important?
I'm so excited.
Yeah?
Yes.
And so you have some funny little stories
Yeah.
about your experience.
Yes.
And she's also got some interesting B-roll of the cars and the police and the
Yes.
military and all that kind of stuff, the entourage that this woman and her staff came with. So be sure to tune in to Today with Baby May in the next day or two. Okay, kids, we'll see you in the next video.